This is Prime Time. Now from New York, Diane Sawyer.
Good evening. Yesterday, 8 people were chosen to be pioneers for the rest of us. They are 8 scientists who have agreed to become modern Adams and Eves. In December, they're going to move into a huge 3-acre greenhouse in the Arizona desert, Eden in a box, complete with 4,000 plant and animal species. They'll spend 2 years in their prefab paradise trying to support themselves so that the rest of us can learn what it would be like if we had to move into a portable world on another planet. For instance, on Mars, or for that matter, on the Moon. It's a breakthrough experiment, the first attempt to duplicate the wonders of nature on such a large scale, in a huge glass jar. And what surprises a lot of people, Sam, is that even though the Soviet government has been studying these questions, this is not a U.S. government project. This was built with private funds.
That's right, Diane. You would think NASA would be involved, but it's not. This is being paid for by venture capital, most of it from Texas multimillionaire Ed Bass. Bass makes no bones about it. He's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He sees this as a serious investment, one he expects will be very profitable in the future. In a few moments, we'll have a live interview with 2 of the daring people who will live there. But first, let's take a look inside. Now, you may have seen glimpses before. Now, Jay Shadler takes us on an exclusive tour of this miniature Earth, what scientists call Biosphere 2.
Biosphere 2 is the new step into the future. It's the most sophisticated network planetary that you'll find anywhere.
This is an attempt to see how plants and animals and soils and water affect the conditions of the planet.
From a personal point of view, Biosphere 2, it's a paradise.
If Jules Verne asked Buckminster Fuller to build a house for Dr. Spock, this might be it. Tucked against the Catalina Mountains in southern Arizona, a private company called Space Biospheres Ventures, funded by Texas oilman Ed Bass, is busily putting the future under glass. Costing nearly $100 million, this 3-acre high-tech greenhouse, sealed from the outside and completely self-sufficient, will become home to 8 humans, a few wide-eyed primates, and a creeping, crawling, climbing cast of thousands. A Noah's Ark in the desert, boldly going where no ecologist has gone before.
Biosphere 2 is like looking at the planet Earth and making a miniature of that planet and enclosing it.
Project manager Margaret Augustine.
I'm not saying this is the solution for the whole world, but I think it opens up a door.
Or perhaps a window on the world. Imitating Earth's own biological diversity, the main biosphere houses 5 different environments. A coastal desert supporting cacti and a colony of bats. A salt marsh transplanted from the Florida Everglades. A tropical savanna with its flowers and 150 species of insects. A rainforest with cascading waterfalls and a tree canopy 8 stories high. And a 25-foot deep ocean with a coral reef.
When this ocean is complete, I already have the taste of what this will be to someone looking in the window or standing on the beach. It'll have that same sense of power and beauty.
As a young girl, Gay Ailing dreamed of going to the sea. Now she's built one. Mixing and matching species drawn largely from the Bahamas, she's given birth to a miniature ocean.
How many species do you have in the ocean?
When we're done, we'll have between 1 and 2,000.
How did you make the cut?
How do you make the cut?
Obviously the whales are out. The porpoises are out. Got a lot of species of fish.
Some species.
Some species.
Right now, we're at the stage with the ocean of Biosphere 2, where we really just have algae, some invertebrates, some vertebrates. We're basically allowing the system to go through a phase of evolution, which is very productive, and this is the foundation for an ocean.
You've said to me that you used to stand as a little girl on the beach and look at the ocean. When you stand on this beach and look at that ocean, you can't get the same feeling. You're not recreating that same sense.
No, it's not the same sense, but it is a sense of greatness, the sense of the sublime, of the unknown.
And of course, just as in nature, appearances here can be deceiving. In fact, from the tropical beach, it's just a few small steps and a short climb through this portal into the high-tech underworld of the biosphere. This is the belly of the beast, where electrical engines drive the wind, sprinkler systems create the rain. Though as far as I can tell, there are no machines to make rainbows. On the other hand, conjuring up a natural disaster, that's easy. If these air conditioners break down, for example, it'll only take 30 minutes for the air temperature upstairs to reach 150 degrees. And while certainly no one would ever confuse this with a stairway to heaven, it will eventually lead you back to the ocean, by way of a small piece of technology that might make even Mother Nature blush. It seems that the biospherians have no qualms about making a few waves.
Though the biosphere has been built as a prototype of housing that might someday be used to colonize distant planets, the project has already given scientists some distinctly down-to-earth lessons in the sheer audacity of putting nature in a bottle. Every choice has its consequence.
If we're going to put a bat in, what kind of bat are we going to put in? Are we going to put a bat that's going to eat up all the fruits?
Of course not, but what about that hummingbird over there?
Once you decide to go for a hummingbird, then suddenly you've got to make sure you've got 1,200, 1,300 flowers a day in bloom at some part of this thing to keep it going.
And then there's simply the task of just keeping track of everything, like
Where the galago goes, where the vine snake winds up, where the geckos decide is home.
Dr. Peter Warshall is creating the savanna for the biosphere, with its tall grasses hiding a menagerie of microbes and mammals. But like many of the 200 other consultants here, Dr. Warshall has discovered that he's had to make some unnatural natural selection.
And it's a long-term problem.
What's the biggest mistake you've made so far?
It's a good question. The biggest mistake was overpacking the biosphere, thinking that I had a lot more room. I put in so many species and so many examples of each species that not everybody's going to make it. Everything is very packed in. And so this is the year they'll sort it out. And I can't tell you what's going to happen.
Of course, that's no laughing matter to the critics of this project, who say the nearly unmanageable complexity of the experiment might make for some interesting ecology, but it's not hard science.
I think the problem I have with this, and I think other ecologists will have with this, is that I don't think it's been conceived well.
Donald Dalston is professor of entomology at the University of California, Berkeley.
I think most scientists would look right away and say that they don't look at this as a project that's possible.
You can call what we're doing here gonzo ecology. We're just sort of jumping in.
Professor Tony Burgess is one of the Biosphere's scientific coordinators.
You get a little upset with all the naysayers, the doomsayers say this is just...
Lord, no, they're our best friends. Anybody gets too cocky, they're going to make a lot of mistakes.
You know, there is no place in the world where this many ecosystems are jam-packed together like this. So you're not really mimicking nature. It's something quite artificial, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. What we're trying to do is see just how much of that you can capture in a scaled-down system. And if it goes wrong, why? And if it goes right, how does it work?
If it does work, the biosphere is built to last for 100 years, with new teams of scientists trading places every few years by way of an airlock.
Basically, what's in here?
So this is the jungle fowl rooster.
This is the barnyard of the biosphere, part of a mini farm which supplies the crops and the critters for the biospherians to eat. Kathy Dyer has been with the project since its beginning in 1984.
So with the African pygmy goats, the Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs, these are jungle fowl chickens, and actually what we've been doing is crossbreeding the jungle fowl with the Japanese silkie.
So not only are you choosing species, but you're creating new breeds.
Yes, in some cases.
I noticed the pigs, this very small pig. It's called a Vietnamese pig.
Yes.
Why? Why the small pig?
Because number one, we can have more individuals. So we have a larger genetic diversity in our pig population inside the biosphere. See, we could only have one large pig. This way we can have 3 small ones.
Will there ever be pork dinner for the biosphere?
I sure hope so. That's why they are inside.
And what about those biospherians? Why are the humans inside?
The humans are here as managers. And again, we don't just want to
throw a whole bunch of species into a container, lock it up, and see what happens.
Just yesterday, botanist Linda Lay was chosen to be one of the first 8 biospherians, all longtime co-workers on the project. 4 men and 4 women, including Gay Ailing, an engineer and a doctor capable of treating all but the most serious illness.
How about the biospherians getting along with each other?
I'm not worried about it. Not that I think that it's going to be actual perfect sailing all of the time.
On the other hand, spending 2 years together might just produce all kinds of unforeseen consequences.
The reproduction of species obviously is essential to the success of Biosphere 2. Without getting too personal here, can we expect the pitter-patter of little biospherian feet?
Well,
in a couple of years?
I would say that, I don't know, I might say modern woman or something. I believe in Planned Parenthood and all that.
But just in case, the private living quarters here, still under construction, will include 2 extra apartments that could be easily turned into a nursery. As for the sense of isolation team members may sometimes face, Linda got a taste of it last fall, spending 21 days and nights locked inside a scaled-down version of the Biosphere. She reported no problems as computers kept an eye on the test module's vital signs and TV monitors kept an eye on Linda.
Women have a little bit of an unexpected harvest. There's a couple of very beautiful ripe cherry tomatoes, so I can add those to my salad today.
Okay, then I'm going to turn off this screen and talk to you later.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Though the scientific success or failure of this project won't be known for years, for the men and women who've created the Biosphere, the results are already in.
Some people would say that only humans would be so presumptuous as to think that they could put nature in a box.
Presumptuous? No, I don't think so. And if everything we did new was presumptuous, then where would we be? Biosphere 2 gives me hope. A hope that we have a future on this planet and off.
Of course, the most intriguing part of this experiment is the human side, the 8 people who will actually live in Biosphere 2. 2 of them join us now from Oracle, Arizona, where Biosphere 2 rises out of the desert. Dr. Roy Walford, Chief of Medical Operations, and Gay Ailing, who will be responsible for marine ecological systems. And you're standing in front of Biosphere 2, right, Gay?
Yes.
Are you going to have a problem with won't you feel like sort of a fish in a fish bowl?
No, I will not feel like a fish in a fish bowl. As you can see behind me, Biosphere 2 is quite grand. And the diversity of biomes, the diversity of ecosystems within biomes, I think will add in a wide variety of impressions. And this will not be an impression of a fish bowl.
Okay, Dr. Walford, it's going to be grand maybe, but it's going to be 3 acres. And all of you are active people. You've been used to being able to roam, across the planet. How is that going to give you problems? First, medically. Are there going to be any medical problems?
I think there are medical possibilities. For example, there's lots of machinery in the Biosphere. The basement is almost like a spaceship with air conducting units, high voltage equipment and everything. There's a possibility of accident or trauma. It's also many biomes and an agricultural station with animals and soil and plants. There's a possibility of infection. And finally, a possibility of toxic effects.
Well, what if someone gets an illness? You're going to have to break the experiment, will you not?
Depends on the illness. We're equipped to treat most illnesses, including some major illnesses, inside the Biosphere. We'd only break it if life were threatened or eyesight or loss of a limb were threatened. We can do minor surgery, treat infections, diagnose diseases in the medical facility inside Biosphere.
Ms. Ailing, I'm interested in the loneliness factor, the stress that might arise. Are you going to be lonely? You're going to be there for what, 2 years?
Yes, I will be inside for 2 years. And loneliness, I think loneliness is an emotion that people feel whether they're inside Biosphere 2 or they're outside on Earth. And there may be times that I will feel loneliness. I don't think that's directly related to Biosphere 2. And something important to understand, Biosphere 2 and Biosphere 1 will have an information exchange. It is informationally open. That means we'll have extensive video exchange, telephone communication. We are not isolated.
Okay,
we
all
are
right.
not,
But if I may, you can't get away from each other, and human beings fight. I mean, and when I fight with someone, I mean, they run off or I run off. You can't run off. Is that a problem?
Well, I suppose you can't run away. You can't get outside into Biosphere 1, but you certainly can go to a remote place in Biosphere 2 for sure.
Dr. Walford, what about it?
I think you can go to many remote places, and Biosphere 2 is like an enormous cathedral, but instead of having, say, church pews inside, you have the Garden of Eden.
Okay, final
it's a nice
quick
place
question.
to be in.
Connected with the Garden of Eden, Jay Shadler touched on it. Are you going to discourage romantic attachments or just let nature run their course?
It'll be the same as in Biosphere 1. Biosphere 2 and Biosphere 1 are the same in these regards.
Same with you, Ms. Alling?
Yes, it's a personal decision, and it's not something that the project is making any statement about for sure.
Okay, and the television gets turned off a lot of times during the day. I understand that. Thanks for being with us. We'll check with you what
It's a great pleasure.
You're going in on December 5th of this year, and you'll be there for 2 years. All right, let's make a date. On the December 5th or 6th of 1992, let's check again. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Walford and Ms.
Have
Allen.
a date.
Okay.
Thank you.
Most of us probably spend at least some time today on the phone wishing faraway friends or relatives happy Thanksgiving, which got us to thinking about those ads for long-distance companies. A lot of us on this broadcast, as undoubtedly you have been bombarded